Okay, in this lecture video, we're going to practice how we can look at a number and figure out how many significant digits are written down. Now we know in our last video that when we write a number down, that last digit is always going to be the one where we're expressing our uncertainty, that last significant figure. But sometimes some of the other digits in that number might still be placeholders and not really significant digits. So for example, if I were to write down that I had 100 centimeters of rope, I need to know for sure if these zeros that I've written down are there as placeholders, or if I'm telling you that this last zero here is significant. So we have a little table here, and you can download off the handouts portion of our Canvas web page. So let's go through the different examples here. So first of all, let's take a look at non-zero digits. Those are sort of the easiest ones to deal with. So when you have a non-zero digit, all of the digits that you write down are significant. So if you look here in this particular column of examples, and you can count how many sig figs are in each one of those numbers, and you can see that they all count. Then what we have to deal with are all of the specific guidelines or rules for zeros. So first of all, first case, let's take a look at leading zeros. So that means zeros that become before a non-zero digit. Those are always going to be insignificant. So you don't count them as sig figs. They're placeholders. You couldn't write the number without writing that zero there. So you can see in the examples here, we only have 1 and 3 significant figures because the zeros in front are going to be leading zeros. In our second example there, 0.00105, we have an extra zero though. That's not a leading zero. It is instead a trapped zero. And trapped zeros are always going to be significant. So for example, 105, that zero is sandwiched between a 1 and a 5, two non-zero digits, so it counts as being a significant figure. So there are 3 significant digits in that particular example. Then let's take a look at our trailing zeros when there's no decimal point present. So a trailing zero is one in which it follows a non-zero digit. And in this case, when you don't have any decimal points written down, those zeros are merely placeholders. So if you look at 2300, for example, that number only has 2 significant figures. The last 2 zeros that are written down are there simply as placeholders because without them you would have written the number 23. But it's telling us that our uncertainty, our estimation, is in the hundreds place. So it's saying our number could be 2300, it might really be 2400, it might really be 2200. So our uncertainty is in that last significant figure. Finally, sometimes when we write down a measurement though, that last zero we write down might actually matter in terms of significance. It might be a real part of our measurement. For example, it could be the uncertainty, and we need to communicate that. So in order to communicate with that with zeros, we add a decimal point. So if you look here, for the number 6,050, we've put a decimal point after that last zero. And so we're basically saying at this point that that last zero in the ones place is part of our measurement. That's what we estimated. That's where our error is. So our number could be 6,050, it could be 6,051. So it's telling us that that last zero is significant. The same is true for 4.00. In this case, we're saying that our error is all the way in the hundredths place. So those 2 last zeros there that trail the non-zero digit are significant, and the last one is where our error is. So there are 3 sig figs in 4.00. Then the last rule that we use in communicating significant figures is that of exact numbers. So it's like counting. These are numbers that don't have any error associated with them. So if I tell you, for example, that throughout the course of the semester we were going to do 9 lab experiments, there's no error in that. We're going to do 9. It's not maybe we'll do 9 or we might have done 10. So we say that those have infinite sig figs because there is no error. The same thing in something like a definition where 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. There's no error in that number. That's how it's defined. 1 minute is in fact exactly 60 seconds. So again, we don't count sig figs at all for these types of numbers. We say that they are infinitely significant because they are exact. There is no error. So you want to practice using this table and get used to the zeros in particular so that you can tell where error is in a measurement.